So, hello everybody. Um, nice to hear nice to have you here on the. I will talk directly to the camera because this is the mistake I always do. I look at you guys on the screen. I will talk directly to the camera. Hello, nice to have you here on the panel, on the discussion, on the event from the organized by the Goethe-Institut, Artistic Intelligence, Creativity Between Man and Machine. My name is Dennis Kastrup. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about AI and music. That's kind of my focus, but I'm really interested in AI and art in general, what's happening out there. And we have some lovely participants today with us. First of all, I will introduce you to Boris. Boris.
Hello.
Let's say hello, Boris. Hello, nice to have you here on the panel. I always say panel. Do we call it panel? Discussion?
Yeah.
Virtual panel. Let's call it virtual panel. Boris Eldaxen is a photomedia artist and has been exhibiting internationally in institutions and at festivals since 2000. He has been teaching at international art academies since 2004. In April 2023, he declined the Sony World Photography Awards in the open category, creative, and admitted that he had entered an AI-generated image to test the conditions of photography competitions and to initiate a debate about the relationship between AI-generated images and photography. Sounds really interesting, and I'm sure we can discuss a lot about this. Nice to have you here, Boris. I'll continue with Jessica, and forgive me if I say the word not right. Jessica Huelgas. She's a professor for physics at the Faculty of Science of the National Autonomous University of Mexico and specializes in modern algorithms. She's the founder of Brain, a consulting firm for companies that want to use artificial intelligence. Jessica also participated in the Goethe-Institut's A to Amplify program as part of the Healthy AI Fighters team, which was selected to present its prototype in Johannesburg. She is particularly committed to inclusivity, fairness, and gender equality in the use of AI. Also a big subject we could probably talk about for hours. I'm happy to have you here on this virtual panel. Hello, Jessica.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Suzanne. Suzanne Kite is an indigenous multidisciplinary artist from the Oglala Lakota tribe, originally from Southern California. Her work is characterized by a willingness to negotiate connections, not only between the arts, but especially between the traditional cultural heritage of artists and the developed world of today and tomorrow, between humans and non-humans, natural and artificial beings. Hello, Suzanne. This also sounds really interesting. And also we could talk about this probably for hours. Happy to have you here on this virtual panel. First of all, I'm always, when I do discussions and talks, I want to slide in with an easy questions. Like for me, in my world, where I was discussing a lot about music, and I suddenly realized AI is arriving. And me, as a young person, I totally pushed away all technological stuff. I loved music. I loved punk rock. I didn't like all other music that was made by machines, but slowly growing up and getting into that stuff, I found AI is really interesting and really fascinating. What was your first contact with AI in your specific field? And then you can talk maybe what you did with this. Maybe I start over with, and what did you think? Did you embrace this early? Did you like it? Did you have fear? What was your first contact with any sort of AI? Let's talk with Boris.
Okay, so it started 2014-15 when the first experiments with GAN were released, yeah, where you could do a style transfer, as something painted in the style of Van Gogh. And I just recognized it, but it didn't impress me that much. 2 years ago, I became aware that something new is happening, and I participated in a workshop of a French artist and was fascinated and got hooked from the very first moment that it allows me to have a different workflow, to generate images by describing them with language, and also that I'm free from material restrictions. Yeah, I can work purely for my imagination and use my experience and knowledge. And it's still fascinating that it's possible.
So you were welcoming it again. You were not having any?
As an artist, I love it. Yeah, but in Germany, I'm a member of two of the oldest photo associations, and as such, a member of the Deutsche Fotorat, the German Photo Council. And we are trying to get involved to shape what is happening, and also to we have a constant discussion amongst the photo associations in Germany about the impact of AI image generators. As an artist, I love it. As a citizen, I'm concerned about the disinformation potential. And I also care for my friends that has been earning a living with photography, and that might be more difficult in the future.
Already popping up a difficult and interesting subject. We'll talk about this a little bit later. I'll pass it on to Suzanne, maybe. So what was your first contact with AI and your feelings?
I don't remember first contact with AI, but I do remember the first tool that I was able to use. So I'm a composer and an artist and an academic, and I began creating body interfaces. So like small computational systems like Arduinos to be worn on the body to perform lives with audio visual content. And when I was using those, I had a teacher at the time, Letitia Sonami, who's a pioneer in interactive instruments and custom instruments. And she was showing me the tool Wekinator, built by Rebecca Feebrink. It's a very simple and very easily trainable machine learning tool that I still love today. And she showed me how to use that. And I think this was in 2016, 2017. And it kind of revolutionized the way that I was thinking about building relationships with the computer, as thinking about a computer as a non-human being that's involved in my performance work. And that's kind of where I started as a creator. But then 2018, 2019, I published Making Kim with the Machines with 3 other Indigenous academics, and kind of started our argument about the necessity of including Indigenous ontologies, ways of being in our relationships with non-human beings, such as artificial intelligence. So yeah, that's where I started.
I also very interesting. I want to know more about this later, or everybody hopefully wants to know more about this. What I read from your homepage, it was really interesting. Jessica, pass it to you.
Thanks. Well, my first contact with artificial intelligence was when I read about Katie Bauman in astronomy, that she was the first lady to develop an algorithm with her team, and they get the image of a black hole. So to me, it was fascinating, and I was teaching my students about it, and how to understand it at the beginning was very difficult because we didn't know how they make it, but it was extremely fascinating. Then I noticed that you need a lot of programming code, and I was introducing myself into this, and it was until last year when I entered to this AI to Amplify that I was shocked about the things that in Europe they have developed until now. And I was also impressed because they have algorithms in medicine, developing these algorithms, but it's a lot of concern about the ethics and how to use these data sets and images. So I decided to start my master's degree in computer science because I was afraid about how to know what is coming. So I was afraid because I didn't know what is this, and I decided to start in that.
This is a good point that you just bring up. I sometimes forget when I talk to a lot of musicians and artists, like, who of you is, I mean, you just mentioned this, who of you is also a coder. I mean, sometimes people always use AIs from others. And Boris, are you able to code also, or are you just a user?
I'm more a user.
Okay. And Suzanne?
I think it's pretty blurry now because I'm a trainer, and I have a lab where we have, we've got students who are coding. So I'd say it's blurry. I'm making a lot of decisions. So I mean, that's what's interesting about it, is especially with art making, it gets us back to the kind of very deep question of what is decision making. And so I couldn't say that, I mean, I'm not deeply involved, but I'm not writing Python script. So
okay. So yeah, it's because it's always interesting, because sometimes those people who are also in the coding process have earlier access to it than the users, of course, and they can use the AI differently than others. Talking about the use of AI, just to also be specific about everybody again. Can you, Suzanne already said a little bit, but Boris, can you tell me a little bit? I saw some of your works, what it was called, the pseudonesia, for example. How do you work with AI? What is your daily, maybe the things you do in your work, in your artistry, to work with AI? How do you approach it? What do you exactly do with it?
Well, my workflow constantly changes and evolves with the new features that are available. When I start with text prompt, I have a system of now over 13 text prompt elements that you can use to describe the image. But this is just like the first step in a workflow that becomes more and more complex. So these days, I'm not satisfied with something that I just text prompt and I get a result. It's just a kickoff. The images that I generate with text later are blended together. And these images later are expanded with image prompts. So again, you use the interim picture you just generated with Blend. You add a new text prompt, you take it somewhere else. You can do it multiple times. And in the end, often it's 1 or 2 days where I'm changing things in post-production, erasing certain parts in painting, or adding pixels in out painting. And each project has a different workflow. I'm constantly experimenting with workflows and with the new features. So it's in flux. And as you said before, this is also the exciting part of it, that there are no handbooks. Yeah, the development is so fast. It's an undiscovered territory. And I just love being experimental.
I would actually, I have the drive to ask you now that you experimented also with this for the award, but I will come back later to this. Suzanne, you explained it a little bit also. Can you give it like I have a little bit like this body thing. Can you explain it a little more precisely, so we have maybe an idea for a performance what exactly you're doing there?
Yeah, it varies by piece. I have a pretty ranging practice that involves machine learning, from training my own custom sets to make poetry and written works. I have a bunch of films where there is custom data set to make the words for the film. I think when I perform on stage with the instruments, especially the body instrument, usually it looks like a hair braid, or even my phone using the gyroscope, but some sort of gyroscope instrument that I prefer to use sort of a circular system where the gyroscope controls, let's say, a synthesizer, and the synthesizer is then listened to by Wekinator, and it's been trained to associate things like high, low tones, certain frequency with another set of numbers, of course, and then those numbers will control or make decisions about what visuals I'm looking at, or what the audience is looking at, and then I make decisions on how to move. So, and then I have this kind of circular interaction. But currently, I'm very much working on a system that involves dreams. There's a lot of interesting research currently going on with dreams and sleep and kind of creative impulses. And I think that decision-making starts to get very nice and blurry, the same way that AI decision-making is kind of get very nice and blurry. And so now I'm kind of doing experiments with EEG and kind of different listening mechanisms of perception, very experimental.
I can see you have your foot in a lot of different different things there, and an eye is somewhere in the background, not controlling it because it's there, it's there and taking part of it. Jessica, what are you doing with AI?
Well, I was very interested in how to make images and how to change it. So it was shocking to me to understand how computers make these images and how you can manipulate the pixels. So I was very impressed about that. And also I realized that you can make video and to make fake videos or fake images. So I started to doing it. And while I was coding, I was also shocked because I knew that I was developing something fake because I started to learn about that. But when I realized the work of Boris and the things that he lived in the contest, I was like surprised because I knew that there are some concerns about how to realize what is fake and what is not. So right now I am working in medicine also, but I want to understand more about the images.
Mm-hmm. Images is also a big subject, and I will leave it now a little bit open to everybody. Just like how I mean, you all mentioned a little bit like in your field, what are you doing, and how do you see right now process of AI in the public eye? And we talk about the problems, we talk about the things people have fear. You just mentioned this also, what is possible. And Boris, you gave an image, a picture to a big what was it called, the Sony World Photography Award, and to show that everything is possible right now. And oh no, what did you want to show? Yeah, that maybe I can ask you this directly. Did you want to show something, or what was the goal of this?
Well, I wanted to test if photo competitions take into account that AI-generated images are going to be handed in. And I did that test in autumn, winter 22. I was checking guidelines of photo competitions that started open calls, and 3 of them I handed in images because they didn't change their guidelines. So that was just an experiment. I had no expectation, but to my surprise, the electrician became finalist 3 times, and 1 time was selected as a winner. The first 2 competitions I then posted on social media, linking to the jury, to the platform, telling them it was AI generated, and there was silence. And then with Sony, it happened again. Yeah, they didn't want to disqualify me, and they didn't want to talk about it and make it transparent. And then I wanted to close the gap between the speed of the technological development and all the implications it is going to have on us, and the photo community that was that time frozen in shock and didn't know what to do and what to think about it. And yeah, it worked, but it became bigger than I could have ever expected.
In what sense?
Well, it became worldwide news, yeah, so that Jessica knows about it, and I turned up live in BBC and CNN and Al Jazeera, and since I've been, yeah, constantly talking about it. It's the focus of what I do, yeah. In German we say Erklärbär. Is there an English translation? I don't know. It's a kind of funny expression that you are this kind of like teddy bear walking around explaining things. And I just love doing it. Yeah, I love working with it. Like I think all of us, I'm partially shocked by the impact it's going to have on certain parts of our lives. But I also just enjoy to use it as an artist tool. Yeah, it's like what I have been waiting for decades without knowing.
And what do the two others think about this? Like, what is your, I mean, when I heard it for the first time, my first idea was, okay, I was waiting for this a little bit. It must happen because it was going so fast at that time. What did you think? Did you have maybe as an artist or as a researcher, did this something open up for you for something, a new discussion, a new level, or what were your feelings?
Well, in my case, when I read about the Boris work, I was thinking that when he decided to take the photograph or the image that he liked, because I imagine myself that Boris had to generate again and again until he likes, for example, because he decided, okay, this didn't like me and that likes me. So in this case, it's like maybe he decided because for him was pretty or something about that he likes, but although the technical intervention expands creative possibilities, it remains the manifestation of human time and labor and the effort. And I don't know the feelings and the expression of Boris in this photograph.
It's two women standing in front of each other, looking at the camera. Was it like this? Yeah, I remember that photo. Yeah, and I looked at it today. It's funny, and I realized I was shocked that they didn't realize it was AI, because these days you see so many AI stuff, and you realize a little bit like, okay, that's what it is. I think that's interesting. I think we get a feeling now to see, although the AIs are getting better, but we get a feeling to see, okay, this is AI generated. Would you agree this? Like, as we learn now to see art or images from that.
Yes and no. I think there are certain mainstream trends that are easy to identify, but the technology constantly advances, and I'm making those tests on and off online where you can just try to find out, is it generated or authentic? It becomes more and more difficult. It's just a question of time.
Your microphone is off, Jessica. Did you say something?
Oh, no, Dennis.
Oh, okay, that's good. So what do you think like now this also talking about you, Jessica, maybe, and all this stuff is surrounded by this question: should we do this? Should we not do this? Where does it go? Let's open the big subject of the ethics behind this, like the discussion in art. Is it okay to copy something, like put in some prompts and say do something in the style of? Also, there's big questions about data sets, about copyrights. It's also a huge subject which is not regulated. In the music, I know there's been going on. The EU Act has been is burning around. Germany just decided to take part of it. That's what I heard from, I think, Tuesday they decided. So what are you, I mean, not from the side of using that AI in the sense that I'm copying stuff and faking it like it is human. What is your take on this right now? What are the big problems we have to face in there?
Well, I must confess that when I started to learn these new technologies, I became more secure about it. But when I saw around me, I knew that in my community there is a lot of afraid, and they feel the danger of these technologies. So I start a program where we teach other people artificial intelligence in a lot of levels, like basic, intermediate, and advanced. And as you said before, like people that just use the tool, and other people that wants to involve more with coding. But I must say that it is very difficult to start in this file, because you need to know about mathematics, you need to know about probability and statistics. So that's why it's very complicated. And I think that people that know this knowledge, maybe we need to be aware that maybe they are going to shape the future, the people that knows this knowledge, because it's like they are going to have this kind of power. So I would like to be aware with my community that they can become voices that include another people that don't need to learn about these tools, because it's a long life studying this. So we want to include all people and minorities, because they are not aware of this and they just feel the heat. So
yeah, I could give it right to Suzanne. Maybe that's also behind your work. Can you maybe add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, I write and talk a lot about AI ethics, especially the intersections with indigenous communities. But in particular, I mean, but it's very interesting being an artist and dealing with another flavor of ethics, which is this eternal question that amazingly has returned, which is we're faced with, oh, what is art? Which every time we think we answer that question, that, you know, so I think that's what's positive about AI's interaction and connection with human creativity is, again, we have this question, which always points to a much deeper, much more important question, which is, where does knowledge come from, period? Like, does it come from the human as some sort of heroic being, or does it come from the collective history of the universe, or does it come from elsewhere in a spiritual sense? And I think any tool that challenges us to get deeper and get deeper into those questions is a good influence. But I think one thing that is difficult for me to take seriously in questions about AI ethics is their super real world and reality based effects on human beings and non-human beings. And I think a lot of people are doing a good job of trying to bring us back to the material reality of AI, its material effects on the environment, its material effects on people's jobs, as was Boris mentioned. But as Jessica said, these oppression starts from one place and always ends up affecting the already most oppressed in this world. So, you know, we can't think about AI without thinking about its constituent parts, its mined materials and who mines them. And we can't think about AI and data sets without seeing Midjourney's list of artists who were stolen from in order to create these data sets, because the reality is the least compensated person in an AI are the people whose data was stolen to make the thing. So that's part of our project and the indigenous AI research groups that I'm in is protecting intellectual property. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about ethics in general, because in the end, AI ethics and its problems are only the symptom of much broader, much more nefarious and difficult ethics problems, like slavery and human rights abuses. So they're not, AI isn't a new thing, and it just reveals already existent problems.
What you say, it's what I sometimes say, it's I mean, of course it depends on the data you feed it with, but in the end, these AIs are the mirror of human behavior a little bit.
I don't think they're necessarily the mirror of human, like global human behavior, but I mean, as we see that when their emergent qualities are racist, sexist, homophobic, like those are the emergent qualities, you know, there is a specific data set that they're using, and they're not using in like my community's data per se. They're not. I think that that is very revealing about who they're built by, who they're built for, and then how they're used. So, and that's why I actually prefer dumb AI. I really prefer shallow systems as an artist because I train them and I use them and I know what's inside. It's more of me or my friends.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the questions here. I will give maybe in the end some 10 minutes, 15 minutes to answer those questions. So keep asking questions, people. I see them. Just I will probably do this in 20 minutes. I don't forget them, so just let you know. Talking about all this, like I think what can we as people what can we do in the art world, in the politics, in our surroundings do to address those things, to change those things? I open this question to everybody, like what can we do? I'm always saying, me as a journalist, and that's why I'm here also, to tell those people and to simplify stuff, to make people understand what's going on, to explain them, okay, Boris takes an image and he writes some stuff and the images come from a data set. It doesn't come from a robot who's creating something. It comes from something. But what can we do as artists, as researchers, directly to have an impact for society? Because we are at a turning point right now of a big, we are already changed a lot. But this is really important that we take, well, not take control, but like lead the way to something that is there, that is really dangerous, but on the other side also can create so much beauty. So what do you think we can do? Like what are the things everybody can do?
Who wants to start? Shall I? I think what we need in AI overall is more transparency, and we also need an awareness of the problems, which is part of education, which is part of the information and the press. And the problems we see in the German Photo Council is the threat for photojournalism, and that deep fakes are so easily produced and spread, that we need to come up with strategies to avoid that we are ending up only in alternative realities. Yeah, that's a big danger for democracies. We need to rely on facts that have happened, and we need to support the free press and photojournalism. So what we do in Germany is join forces. I think that is very important for all associations and people that are active in trying to shape what is happening, that you join forces to create a certain impact on lawmakers. And the German Photo Council has sent out a questionnaire to the German press. We would like to have an overview about how AI is used in the German press and in the picture editing process right now. And then in a second step, to get them onto a round table and to discuss if something needs to be changed, if we need to communicate things differently, if we need to set up new structures to have a fact check, if the press needs more staff, those things. And that is slow, but the main thing is joining forces. And because I have been visible and my colleagues as well, there are certain initiatives worldwide that need to be supported. If it's about photojournalism, I recommend from the United States, Writing with Light. It's www.light.org, which is by a group of Magnum photographers, American universities, and Fred Richin, who was the dean of the photo school in New York. They do they have a great platform that wants to produce visual literacy, that people know more about the impact of AI.
I would have just one more question then for you, Boris. What do you think? All this stuff. There's also ethics AI, impact AI. There's so many organizations already out there. For you as a photographer, there's also these initiatives like Glaze or Nightshade, where people can put in where the AI kind of poisons original image. I explain it simply. An AI poisons original images. So when another AI comes and takes those images, doesn't see any more patterns of a photo and cannot recreate it. What do you think as a photographer about these initiatives? And you can also like opt out then of data sets and say, I don't want to be part of it.
Well, I think because the big AI image generators did not ask people if it's okay to use their the material as training data, and because you don't get an easy opt-out solution for all the different AIs that are out there, I think Nightshade is an okay weapon to fight back, for creatives. Bring it on, This needs to be more ethical, the training data, for sure. It has been unfair how the data was collected. Was it legal? We will see. There are ongoing lawsuits, but the copyright problem has three different parts. We only mainly talk about the training data, but what the problem of the future is the single user of the platforms, because 50% of how I can create images is using existing images. I can take them from wherever I want to. And the third problem we see we have right now is, do I have a right on a generated images? When do I have copyright? When am I an author? And that is very important for professional industries. If you talk about like advertising, for example, if they use AI and generate an image, we, another advertising company could use it, because there has been no law case in Europe, in Germany, that decided upon this. And because it's if you admit that you work professionally with AI, you open a can of worms. It's a totally legal mess. Most people don't do so. And that is a problem for us as societies, because we need and we want to have this transparency. And that means we need to have law cases that are running and are going to decide upon those questions. I have been trying to get something like this started in Germany. It's very difficult.
I've talked to many lawyers, and they always, it's funny because we talk about this, and because of all the copyrights also, because a work of art, it's not made by humans. That's right now the logic of it. And we should discuss how many human input a work of art needs to be protected. And we are far away from finding a solution. And in the end, how can we ensure that somebody is not honest or dishonest with you? How many input was from AI? So it's really complicated for hours. So, but things happening, things are trying to evolve. I can see this. And I give the word maybe to Jessica and to Suzanne also again, like, what can we do? Because I think it's important to give people these tools. Oh.
Well, I want to point out that I realize that human beings sometimes is attached of their work, and they feel like they are that work. Let's say in United States, the drivers maybe in the near future are going to lose their jobs, because it's going to be the smart cars. So it will be a lot of people without work. But I feel that sometimes people feel that the only thing that they have is that work, and they don't do another things in order to feel free and to feel comfortable and to feel confidence that if they lose their jobs, they can do another thing. So it's like they are so extremely attached of driving that they realize that they cannot do another thing. Is that they are not going to find another type of job because all their mind is in, I am a driver and I am a driver and I cannot do anything else. So I would like to that people listen, that don't be afraid about these new technologies, because once it's started, it's not going to go back. We are not going to go back, never again. So we need to, as Boris said, to join forces, and also that people are open to listen the things that we can do together, because sometimes you can feel in the people, no, I don't like mathematics, I don't want to talk about that, I hate this technology, no. So they are like in order with this technology, they don't like it, they hate it.
Suzanne, do you have, I don't want to, if not, it's okay.
No, I mean, I feel like what you just said kind of points to the thing where it's new technology. The technology this itself is never the problem. It's the conditions around it, and you know the issues with environmental destruction and capitalism and lack of jobs support, lack of ability for people to navigate the world as it's changing because of, you know, the lack of societal and governmental support. That's, of course, always going to be the reason that these things can't be easily moved in and out of our world. It's very interesting working with indigenous communities, many of whom don't have access to the same, like even internet capacities, computational power. Like it's very, very different world. Yet we've got very large corporations trying to digitize native languages and create systems for them. And all it does is widen gaps in power and inequity. And yeah, it's super dangerous, but it's not like that oppression wasn't already there. I think in terms of the role of artists is to make work at these stress points to make it very clear where the problems are, where the solutions are. And as an artist, I, of course, very into critical work. As a scholar, you have to do a lot of critical analysis of things to say this is bad, this is wrong. But that's where artists are so important, to say that what we do is we do generative work. We take knowledge, we reconfigure it, and we make new things. And our ability to generate and not just criticize is crucial for new technologies. I mean, it's really fun to compare this type of these conversations to like the invention of the car, the invention of the telephone, which were seen as, you know, threats to different industries, threats to you know, the way our societies were formed and our values. But the real important thing is for people who do generative work, whether they're artists or lawyers or policymakers or writers, is that they say that we can use new tools with our values, and here's how we do it. And so that's what us being very clear about our methods and our ethics and our values does for the world.
If I can pick this up, what I always say about artists is, and because I'm focused on music a lot, I don't think And I would like to know what you think about it. I don't think you can make good, whatever is good art. That's another discussion. But you can make good art if you don't know, or if you not already are an artist who knows who knows a lot about art, to create new art with an AI in a good way, because you have to know what to put in to get it out. Would you agree or would you disagree? What's your opinion about that?
That you have, so what is it? You have to know about art to make art?
Okay, for example, I'll give you an example. I play a lot with music AIs, and I can generate now whole songs. I can make a song and I can generate. I'm happy about this because I'm not a musician, but I know about music because I've been talking about music all of my life. So I know I put in a beat. I can prompt which style, which direction it should go, which music maybe works best together, and I know already what's going on. Maybe and then out of this comes something. I don't. As I said, you can never. It's always difficult to describe what is good art and bad art, but I have the feeling the music is better than maybe other music, which is simple. So I'm just saying, like, I think if you know the AI, if you know how the AI thinks, you can create better stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's like an aesthetics question, but that's where I mean, I've been working in tech art that uses technology for a while, and people have their preferences. I hate tech demo art. If your tech is so good and it's so clean and it's just so precise and perfect, if the artwork is just a really good evidence of how good the technology is, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. I mean, people have their preferences. I
But I
prefer.
think Dennis was asking for something else. Sorry to interrupt, Susan. I think the creative workflow for me has 3 different steps. It's prompting. You need to have experience, knowledge to find the right key terms, yeah, to describe what you would like to have. Then is the machine taking over, generating. In the end, you need again a human that has an experience to evaluate. Is that good enough? What is missing? How do I need to change the prompt? That can be many loops, or you need to change the workflow. Most people don't see that this creative workflow has those 3 steps. And me as an artist, I can bring my subjectivity into the first and into the last step. Also, what I realized as an artist is that my role is changing working with AI. Before, when I was out there with my camera alone, I'm the solo singer, the instrument. But now I have become a conductor, and the training data is an anonymous choir, and I need to connect, yeah, as a solo, as a single person with that material, also to be aware of the bias to work around it. And we had a question here if AI means the end of human creative imagination. I've been talking a lot about creativity in the past months, and we had many studies that tell us that AI is now scoring as good as humans in creativity tests. But most of the time, those headlines don't give us a definition of creativity. And this is something that we need to dig deeper into, because in the future, we need to come up with certain strategies how to collaborate between man and machine in creativity. And there was somebody asking before, is there any theory I could recommend? And I think one of the creativity theories that can help today is by Margaret Ann Bowden. It's not a new one. She's in her 80s. She has been studying computer science, philosophy, and psychology. And what she offers helps us today dividing creativity into 3 different parts. The first part is combination. And that is what we often see like with Mid-Journey images. Yeah, you have those mashups. It's Batman in a Barbie dress. Yeah, and then the second part of creativity is exploration. And that means having more of 360-degree perspective that what we have as humans. We are all sitting on our chairs in front of our computers, but an AI could look below the chair, yeah, behind your screen. And then there's the third part, and that is transformative. Yeah, it's leaving given content and it's leaving given structure. Is that possible to achieve by AI? That's a very interesting question. I had some panel talks last year in Germany, through which I met Björn Ommer. Björn Ommer was the head of the development team from the universities of Heidelberg, now Munich, setting up the possibility for stable diffusion. And I asked him, do you know this creativity theory? Do you think that AI is possible to also do transformative creativity? And he is very skeptic about it. And all the studies that came up with the result, AI is as creative as humans, were concentrating on combination and exploration. So I don't think that we can be replaced, yeah, and that human imagination or creativity is gone. But there are some things that AI is very, very good in. And we could outsource certain parts of creativity. Like in the test, you have a question like, take a toothbrush, what can you use it for except brushing your teeth? Of course, an AI mathematically will make those combinations and score very high. So I think it's a very interesting topic to discuss, and maybe Jessica and Suzanne see things that I don't.
Do you? Giving it a word or?
Well, when I hear you both, I think also that we are like in a spiral of taking back to Méliès and when cinema started, and it was shocking for people around their work because they didn't know that in the future Méliès, as Boris said, we're going to was going to find a new way of expression, in the sense that people, when it's in touch with cinema, started to feel in that way that we do now. So maybe it's a long path that if you see the body's photograph, how make you feel the photograph, and if the work of Boris, how much of your soul, how much of your spirit you live in that photograph.
That's interesting. I have this discussion. I often have discussion with people who will say, I hate AI music. It's not human. I hate it. And then I tell them, you know, there's so much music out there. And I always talk to musicians and they always tell me, you do what you do with that music. In the end, if I sing about a cat and you think I'm singing about a loved one, a human, you put your ideas on that song and it touches you emotionally, I give it away. That's what the musicians always tell me. And then I tell them who don't like AI music, and it's like, well, but if I give you a song and you listen to this for 5 years, let's say 5 months, and you love it, and you put all your images in there and all your feelings and all your emotions, and in the end, I tell you it's generated by an AI, does that change the song? I mean, do you feel then bad about the song? Because it was your song. You made something out of it that you loved, that you put in there, your emotions. So I'm always agreeing also, like, who is in the top 10 really singing? I mean, who wrote the lyrics really? There's a producer, there's a ghostwriter, and the person, it's human, yes, but in the end there was something behind it who created it. And you did something with that stuff. And that's how I see creative work by an AI. If it touches you, it touches you. My take on it. Okay. See. Agreed. I'll just leave also because we have some questions left here, and I'm trying to put them on here. And I will I mean, oh yeah, we already answered, could AI mean the end of human creative imagination? Did we answer this a little bit? We did a little bit. I don't know if you want to add something to this. Well, me as as the moderator of this panel, I don't think so, because I think the beauty of art is always developing, and there will be always something new and always something exciting. It always comes with new societies. I'm totally aware of the fact that it will have dangers for people who don't have work, that the society will be having problems. But for me, AI is such a wonderful tool that would create so many beautiful artwork. I totally believe in this. And we just have to get used to it, that it's out there. That's my opinion. If somebody wants to add something to this, feel free to.
Yeah, I think I work with a lot of people making new AI tools all the time. And the ones we're using now are going to be a very quick blip on the road to very, very different ones. I think that I hope lots of people engage with tools like GPT-2 and GPT-3 and 4, because it makes it really clear how they work and then how they're changing. I feel like I feel like the future of a lot of these tools is going to be custom data sets that where the software is set up so we can have everything be extremely tailored and have extreme control of our data sets. I think that that is just about a scale, it's just a scale problem right now. I think that very, very soon we're going to have very, very customizable tools. And at that point, these conversations about death of creativity will become moot again, because we'll have more control and more transparency.
Like individual AIs, you would say, like everybody has.
It's going, I mean, it already is part of the practice if you use some of these tools, but very soon it'll be super easy and super customizable on a larger scale. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, I believe so too, that in the future we'll have our own AIs around us to enhance ourselves, be something out of ourselves, but with ourself. I believe so too. Okay, I'm gonna switch to another question. Oh, that was already it. There was one question. Oh, everybody already answered. Just gonna check this again. All right. Okay, you all were really answering while I was talking to you and concentrating on you. I didn't know. Okay. So maybe to sum up, one last question, and this is always like the typical one. Maybe you can sum up something. I mean, all this developing coming up and where we are right now, like where are we right now in the timeline? Like, what do you think? This typical question of where will we go? What will we? I know it's always but people want to know, and I think about this also. Where do we go? What will happen in the future? How will all this shape our society, art, whatever? Where are we in the timeline? Are we in the middle? Are we just in the beginning? Which step do we take, and what do you think will be on the horizon for the next decades?
Well, in my case, I can see some of chaos and revolution because it's hard to think and to take this technology. So maybe it's going to affect another communities and other countries. But I have faith in that we are going to overcome these tools. It is amazing, really is amazing the way I didn't know the way that artists express themselves in these technologies. I am very glad to stay here with you and learn about your work. And that's led me thinking about in my community how to help them. But I think we are in a starting point. So we are going to see amazing things that we didn't imagine right now.
Agreed?
Yes, Suzanne? No. Well, in the last 1.5 years, I was constantly surprised by what was possible, new features that I could have not foreseen. And my prediction is that it's going to continue like this.
Like this, you mean chaos or confusion?
No, it's it's very hard to make to look into the future, and people always ask what's happening in a year, what's happening in 5 years. Yeah, I can be surprised by things that are released in 5 days. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm constantly surprised. What I see is that since last summer, it is like a big bang that constantly accelerates 360 degrees. And what I'm doing is just trying to keep track of what's possible in image and moving image generating. And that is a tough job because the things you need to read, to oversee, to try out yourself become more and more and more. And it just doesn't fit into a 24-hour day. And that is something that we all share. Yeah, like to be an expert today in a certain field, you basically need a team. So that speed is overwhelming. Where it's going to lead us to, we will see. But I don't think we have been made for that speed.
Yeah, I mean, I said before what I thought about the next thing, but I also kind of want to give just one slightly different thought on, well, if, I think we're going to have these super personalized tools that grow and grow in speed and explosive options. I also think we are headed again to another AI winter, and I think that is because of the lack of creativity in some of the tools that are being developed. I think that natural language processing, again, are amazing tools that we haven't hit the edge of possibility yet with. But I think it's very closed down thinking to think that that's intelligence. And I think that a lot of communities do not consider the ability to statistically guess the next pixel over or the next word to be intelligence. And that is what is worrisome to me and kind of disappointing about the direction that that really large companies are throwing all their money at, because and eventually they'll hit the ability to be really useful, and then they'll become really boring, because that's not what I mean, my community doesn't consider intelligence to be the most important quality in a being. And I think that the ability to mimic a human is not that it's like not that intelligent either. So yeah, that's kind of my negative thought on it.
Thank you very much. I think one also a last good point. If I can add my last point also, my what I think that the creativity, as I said before, and the possibilities will be really amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it. But we should really watch out to not give it to 5 companies in the world to make profit of it, because if we don't solve that problems, there will be so many other problems. That's my last take on this. I mean, do all what you want, but please don't give it to just 5 big companies. I round it up now, and don't give them and give the money, please, to all those people who are out there creative and working on this and doing stuff, and not let just them pay with their tools, the big companies, to create their art and take it from them. That would be my last take on this. But I think it's positive to talk about this, and we are here to discuss this, and we should do this, and we should not step back, and we should always talk about this more in public, and that's what we did today. It was a really nice discussion, and as I can feel it, I could have talked about each subject 1 hour, because I have so many thoughts about each subject. We could dive in there deeper, and about all these data sets, copyrights, and all the tools. There's so many tools out there we could mention, and people could try out. It's so much fun also. But I hope we gave a little bit of a broad idea what's going on in your world, Boris, in your world, Jessica, in your world, Suzanne. And I hope everybody enjoyed being with us. I would say, yeah, if anybody who just took part today, thank you very much. If you have any more questions, I think you can all reach out to all those people also via mail or something. You'll find them online. You can reach out to me, also you can out to Boris and everybody. If you have questions, feel free. We have to discuss and we have to think about this. And if we don't think about this, the others will do it for us, and that's not good. So thank you, Goethe-Institut, for putting this together. And all of you, thanks for being part of this. And I hope to see you somewhere in the real world and not in as an avatar in your phone, maybe. I don't know.
I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Goethe-Institut and the panelists for this invaluable initiative. And as Boris said, let's talk about these things. It's very interesting. Let's talk about it.
Yep, I think so too.
My pleasure.